Hi, hello everybody, welcome. Yes, hello, my name's Lorna. Welcome to The Den. This is The Den, Mental Wellbeing and Emotional Support, where I talk about all sorts of mental wellbeing things, what I do in my emotional support work, and life as we know it. So yeah, hi, welcome. Thanks for being here. So one of the areas that I have quite a lot of experience of working in is neurodiversity for many reasons. I just happen to have worked with a lot of children and young people who have a neurodivergence of some kind. And sort of therefore, as a consequence, I have also worked with a lot of parents or supporters, carers of people who have a neurodivergence. And it's an area that I really enjoy working in. I say I happen to have worked with a lot of people with who are neurodivergent. I guess it makes sense that trying to be a neurodivergent person living in a neurotypical world, especially when you don't really understand that, makes sense that would lead to you looking for some kind of extra support. Makes sense. So yeah, I've worked with a lot of neurodivergent children and young people, and a lot of parents who are supporting their children with neurodiversity. Also, I come from an extremely neurodivergent family. We have a lot of that in my family, and me too. So today, what I wanted to talk about was just share a little bit about audio processing disorder, because it's not one that I hear much about really, and I've had some experiences in the past couple of weeks that are just it's kind of funny, but kind of show some of the difficulties that we're dealing with. So audio processing disorder is something that I am dealing with. I have audio processing disorder. And people ask me, like, what's that like? How does that manifest? And it's an interesting one, because I can actually hear. And so that is how I found out that I have audio processing disorder, because I started with hearing tests telling the doctor I can't hear anything, but I can hear stuff. So yeah, the difficulty is actually in differentiating sounds and like picking. So I sort of just hear noise, and if there's lots of noise, I hear it all on the same level. I find it hard to focus on one noise over another noise. So that's one element. But even when there's no other noises really happening, I can struggle to pick out the different sounds within noise. It's just noise. I struggle to pick out the different sounds. So yeah, there was an example this week where my husband said something completely reasonable to me, and I heard something entirely different. So walking along the street with one of my children, the smallest one, and my smallest one was carrying my coat because he wanted to carry something. And so I'm there trying to help him get along the road whilst also carrying my coat that he's dropping, and blah, blah, blah. So that's the context of the situation. And then my husband looks at me and says, "Watch that boat of yours." I was like, "Watch that boat of yours?" So then I look at him, and then I look around myself. I look back at him again, and I'm trying to figure it out. Watch that boat of yours. And that is what I swear. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, because he said, watch that boat of yours, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm looking at him, and he's looking back at me, so deadpan serious, and so like, what's your problem? Like, yeah, that's what I said, deal with it. Like, what, like, so I'm looking at him like, what on earth is happening? And he's looking at me like, what on earth is happening? Like, I said what I said. And so I am at the point in my life now with my audio processing disorder where I am able to just go, you said, watch that boat of yours. I don't think I did say that straight away, actually. I think I said, like, what did you say? At which point he said, like, what he really said was something about, like, watch out for your coat, he'll trip over yours, or something like that, because the little one was carrying my coat, and he said something about, careful with your coat, he'll trip over yours, something to that effect. So it wasn't even the same like structure of sentence as the structure of sentence that I'd heard. It was some of the similar sounds, but in my head they got mixed up in a different order, and my brain had put them together in a weird way and processed it completely differently from how it had actually been said in the first place. So then once he says, this is what I said, I can go, oh, because what I heard was, watch that boat of yours, and I was very confused about where the boat was and what boat. I don't have a boat. So that is audio processing disorder. It was a very quiet street. There was no cars on it. There was no other people around. It doesn't have to be to do with there being loads of noise about. It's literally just about how my brain is processing sounds. But what's interesting is I'm now at that point where I'll say, that's not what I heard. Heard something entirely different. But that moment of looking at him and thinking, well, I must be the insane one, because he said, watch that boat of yours, which I think is completely mental. Like, what did you say? But he's looking at me so serious, so deadpan, and so like, I'm the one, like, yeah, he's looking at me like I should know what he's talking about. That's how so, and this is the experience of my life and the life of other people with audio processing disorder. And so what I've discovered is also one of my children has audio processing disorder. We think it's not confirmed in him, but we're starting to see it now, and it's starting to make sense that when he doesn't understand something that's been said, he's not going to say he doesn't understand what's been said, because everybody else around him gets it. Everybody else around him understands what's been said, and he's thinking, well, I'm supposed to get it. Like, they've just said something that I think is bizarre. Whoever it is that's talking, they've said something that I think is really weird and I don't understand. But everybody else around me gets it. They know what they've said. They're looking at me like I should understand it. There's no way I'm saying I don't get it, because I'm the only one here that doesn't understand what's happening. And that's how audio processing disorder can affect a person, especially a child or a young person. That's why they can live in a world that is so confusing, and where everybody else knows what's happening and gets what they're supposed to be doing, and this child or young person is just like, I don't know what's going on, because they genuinely haven't heard what's been said, but they heard something. It just didn't make any sense to them. So yeah, you put yourself in the position of that person feeling like, this doesn't make any sense, but it's supposed to, because everybody else is doing a thing. Everybody else heard, so say the teacher. Everybody else heard what the teacher said and is now getting on with the thing. And I heard what the teacher said, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what that was about. But there's no way I can say, because how embarrassing for me to have to, like, I can't show myself to be the one who doesn't get it. Everybody else understands what you've said. There's no way I'm going to tell you I don't know what you said or I don't understand what's happening. And that's how we get into a world where people are living in confusion. And so it's not just confusion then it is self-doubt, then it is shame, embarrassment, loss of self-worth, loss of self-worth. Audio processing disorder can also manifest itself vocally, interestingly. Not that that's what that was, but that is a thing to think about. So yeah, and then when there's two of you in the family with the situation, oh my gosh, the conversations I've had with my son where he said a thing and I've not heard the thing properly. So I've repeated back what I think he said. And then he didn't hear me properly. And then he's repeated back the thing he thinks I've said. And then we're having this really weird conversation where we're just saying, like, the woman had a zebra on her head. Like, bizarre conversations. It's fun. We're having a neurodivergent family. It's not just one of you, it's all of you trying to get through it together. Yeah. So it's something to think about. I think audio processing disorder can be quite difficult to pick up or to notice because the person who's experiencing other people saying weird things is very rarely going to say that. Very rarely going to say that. It's hard to differentiate between sounds, so maybe the telly's on and the other kids are singing, there's lots of playing happening and you're talking to that person. They might not hear that at all. They're just hearing noise. It's all just noise. They don't know it's them. What can be really useful in that situation is to touch the person if there's lots going on and you need their attention. Just go and touch them, and that's actually not just an audio processing disorder thing. That's actually really helpful for ADHD because it helps to focus the brain, so it takes away from all of the distractions and they feel something that they can focus on and draws you into the situation where they can focus on the speech and then look at you. So yeah, just thought I'd share my little experience, that funny experience of audio processing disorder with you today, and say, yeah, it's an interesting one to work with. It's an interesting one to look out for, and it's an interesting set of consequences to unpack, because it can lead. The biggest one is it can lead to massive self-doubt and loss of self-worth, because you just think everybody else understands the world and I really don't, and I don't know why everybody else understands the world when I really don't, but this world feels like a very bizarre place where people say some strange things and nobody else thinks it's strange, just me. So yeah, that's the sort of things that we'd be needing to work with unpacking if a person has been struggling with audio processing disorder, and particularly not knowing. And I mean, this is another reason about finding out about individual struggles. And I'm not a person who's obsessed with labelling things, but I am sort of obsessed with people understanding themselves and understanding their own experience, because that helps you then overcome the loss of self-worth and the self-doubt. Once you know what the problem is, or it's not even a problem, but once you know what the difference is, once you know how your brain works and how you're dealing with it, that helps you go, oh, it's not that everybody else understands this strange world that I'm living in. It's that everybody else isn't experiencing this strange world that I'm living in. Nobody else would have heard him say, what did you say? Watch your boat. Nobody else would have heard him say that. Watch that boat of yours. That's just my world. That's not everybody else's world. And then you can go, oh, it's not that everybody else is cleverer than me or understands the world better than I do. It's that they're just not seeing the world in the same way as me at all. And once I understand that, I can feel free to say out loud, do you know what I heard in that situation? I heard this really weird thing. And then people can explain themselves. So yeah, it's a really good one to get out into the open, audio processing disorder, but it can be a tricky one to root out. So that's me for today, sharing just a little random bit of my life. But if you'd like to talk to me about some neurodivergence in your family, or if you're supporting a person with who's got a neurodivergence, or you think might have a neurodivergence, or you're trying to help them through the school system and you're struggling with that or whatever, always here, as always. Drop me a line. Also, I'd love to hear your weird stories about how you're experiencing the world. So I've put myself on the line today, told you one of the weird ways I've experienced the world. Drop me a little message, a comment. Let me know some of the weird things that have happened to you in the way that you've experienced the world. I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. See you later. Bye.